Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Tuesday, August the 11th. Overall markets yesterday, we ended up having an initial push towards the upside right off the bat, but we ended up rejecting off our previous day highs and basically just kind of consolidated in between its previous day's range. Higher time frames are still holding up coming into market open. So the higher time frames are intact. We have some names that are holding up here as well. So a decent amount of things to kind of talk about coming into today. What's up, everyone? Before we head on to the charts in the economic calendar, good morning. What's up, Kelvin? P1, what's up, J10, Cody, Maria? Good morning, B Roots. Good morning, Knight, Ryan, Gerald. Uh, Sakis, what's up, Andy, Juan, Kevin, good morning, Lamit, Sinna, Stefan, good morning, Maria, Bobby, Robert, Ashley, Andrea, what's up, Julius, Rafi, any stocks in the accumulation phase? We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. Mikkel, what's up, Venus, JP, David, Kevin. Yeah, with that being said, let me pull up the economic calendar. So coming into today, there are no news that we have. A couple major things that we do have in the after hours. The Strait of Hormuz kind of news that we've been having as of late. But we have some more recent updates that we've talked about kind of on the weekly outlook. As for some more recent updates, we'll talk about that a little bit more. That is going to impact the markets a little bit more. At least for the major news events that we have coming into this week, we do have core CPI that's going to be tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the month over month, along with the year over year. We also do have core PPI that's going to be on Thursday at 8:30 plus the unemployment claims, and then of course on Friday we have the core retail sales month over month, and then on at 10 a.m. we do have the revised consumer sentiment. Okay, with that being said, let's hop straight into the charts. We do have a couple earnings as well. Let me actually pull up the earnings calendar. Just give me 1 second. We do have some earnings as well to keep an eye out for this tonight. We do have SMCI along with CRWV Light. We have Firefly. These are a couple big ones tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow morning we have MBIS. And then we have Cisco, CRB, CBRS. But the main ones, let's keep an eye on SMCI here tonight. Another semiconductor to keep an eye out for. As for the charts, now let's hop on to the major indices, starting off with the SPY and Qs, and then we'll make our way down into some of the tech names that we do have. So, with that being said, let me grab some water here, and then we will get started. Okay, with that being said, let's start off with the SPY and Qs. Did you enter Palantir on a market order? Yes, that is correct. On the Friday's contracts, my contracts didn't move too much. Palantir had a nice move on the underlying. So if you look at Palantir, quickly go over this one. Yesterday, we ended up taking the one. Let's actually go back to this. If I'm not mistaken, we end up taking the 175. So if you look at Palantir, 175. So let me pull this up really quickly. We had the August 7th. So yesterday, if we're taking a look at Palantir, the contracts in itself on the underlying, right, obviously compared to Friday, right, didn't have as big of a move because we're trading Monday's contracts on trading Friday's contracts on a Monday. So generally speaking, it is going to be a little bit slower. But if we are looking at Palantir, right, roughly the contracts in this case went from around 450. If you got your previous day high retest, you can see the contracts would have went roughly 77% on a Monday. If you got your previous day highs, or sorry, the 5-minute range high, depending on the entry that you got, around like 30%, right? If you got a little bit nicer of an entry, right, to high of day, around 25%, potentially up into 50%. Yeah, I personally took the 175s. The 180s were in play as well. All right, with that being said, let's head on to the charts. Starting off with the cues here, let's take a look at the daily time frame. The key levels that we have marked out is really this level right here, 730. So if we're looking at this one on the weekly time frame, 730 is still our key level here. We'd like to see the break above 730. If we can do that, we can see that continue push back towards the upside. If you go into the hourly chart, let's take a look at this. You can see a couple of rejections yesterday or in the pre-market. We kind of came up into this area. You can see coming to market open, a little bit of reaction. Once we got above our previous day highs, we want to see that continuation, but got back underneath and you can see a little bit more consolidation. So yesterday we tried breaking above that previous day highs, broke above it, held, but once we broke back underneath, a little bit more consolidation. Coming into today, the exact same game plan is still intact, right? We want to see that break above that previous day highs, or in this case, the high that we created here on Friday. If we can do that, we can see that push back up in towards at 726 on the higher time frames, which is a very key technical level that we have marked out. So coming into market open here today on the Qs, let's just keep an eye out on that hold above that 723. If we can do that, continuation towards the upside above our previous day highs, push up and towards that 726 here is in play. If we get underneath that 723, hold underneath, then I'm going to be a little bit more neutral. Same thing as yesterday, expecting a little bit more consolidation in between that range. As for the NQ, the key technical levels that I have marked out, I don't even have your previous day highs marked out. We can have this level marked out if we'd like. But the key technical levels here for the NQ is going to be this 29,840. Right now, if we're looking at this one on the hourly time frame, we are building up higher lows. So for the NQ, as you can see, push up last week, higher lows are now being built on the hourly time frame. We're holding above our 29,600. Now what we'd like to see is this push up in towards our 30,000 and above. Right now we're forming kind of a flat top break here on the hourly time frame. We are building up these higher lows. If we can now break above that 30,000 hold, we can see this continuation towards the upside. So for the NQ on the 15-minute time frame, the key levels that we can have marked out is going to be that previous day highs. If we can get above our previous day highs hold, we can see continuation. As long as we maintain above that 29,750, we can see that continue push back towards the upside here as well. So previous day highs is going to be key here for the Qs. If we take a look at the SPY on the daily time frame, you can see this one is very much bullish. We are above key technical levels here. In this case, that's 760 on the daily time frame. On the lower time frames, you can see we are building up these higher lows. We now just like to see that push back up in towards our all-time highs. If you go on to the lower time frames here, the key technical levels that we have marked out is our 774. This is our high that we created here on Friday. This is the area that we broke down from here as well. You can see yesterday we ended up breaking above it. Was unable to hold above the 774, and we kind of closed back in between this Friday's range. But coming to market open, the higher time frame is still very much intact. We just want to see the break above, hold above that 774 for continuation, above our previous day highs, continuation towards that all-time highs here is in play. So let's keep an eye out on very similar thesis to the Qs. Above our previous day highs for continuation, or now the hold of that 774, create a higher low for that push up in towards that all-time highs here on the SPY. If we're taking a look at the ES, the key technical levels that we have marked out, similar thesis here. We're just going to have marked out our 778, or sorry, our 7780, and then we also have our previous day highs. So two scenarios above our previous day highs, continuation towards our all-time highs here is in play. Another possible scenario, the hold of this 7780 for this pushback towards the all-time highs here as well. So that's what we have for the ES coming into market open, along with these SPY and Qs, both the exact same thesis coming into today. We do want to see that continuation above our previous day highs. If we now go on to the SMH, This one did end up rejecting off our 590 yesterday. You can see a little bit of sellers kind of stepping in right off a key level of resistance. We did have a slight pullback here on the hourly time frame. So far in the pre-market, we are seeing some buyers step in on some of the semiconductors. So now what I like to see is the reclaim back above our 575 for a continuation up in towards this 590 here on the higher time frame. So we'll take a look at a couple of the semiconductors here today. Now, with that being said, I'm going to head on to IWM and then we'll head on to the tech names. The IWM here is still holding up nicely. We are forming this daily flag pattern here. So keep an eye out on the IWM, the break above this 302. So nice continuation higher. Higher lows are being built. Now, what I like to see is a break above this 302, above our previous day highs, continuation towards the upside here on the IWM. So previous day highs is going to be key. Keep an eye out on that break above for continuation higher. All right, with that being said, I'm going to head on to some tech names and a few other tickers that we have now as well. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you guys would like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Okay, let's first take a look at Tesla on the higher time frames. If we're taking a look at this on the hourly chart, you can see Tesla is holding above that 328. This is the key level that we talked about. As you can see, buyers did step in off this area, and now we're pushing back up in towards our last week's highs, which happens to be our 334. Coming into market open here, we're just going to have this level marked out. We also have our previous day highs marked out here as well. Well, if we want to see continuation coming to market open above our previous day highs, hold for a push up in towards that 338. Another possible scenario, that hold of that previous day highs for continuation up in towards that 338 as well. So for Tesla, just previous level of resistance turned into support. Similar thing, previous level of resistance turned into support for a push up in towards that 340. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla today above our previous day highs and above that Friday's highs for continuation. As for AMD, this one was a little bit weaker compared to the overall markets underneath that previous day lows. Now you can see we're back down in towards our earnings low, which happens to be a key level support here on the higher time frames. Very key level. If we maintain above this 470, we've already bounced here a couple times in the markets. We can just see that push back towards the upside. If we do get underneath that 470, definitely could see a lot weaker price action here on AMD. So the main level that we have marked out is going to be that 470, which is our previous day lows along with this earnings low here on the higher time frame. So we'll keep an eye out on this level coming into market open here today. As for Nvidia, this one is still holding up. We did have a little bit of a retracement yesterday. You can see the daily time frame did close fairly weak. We broke underneath our previous candle low, and we're back up and back down in towards that daily gap. If we're looking at this one on the hourly time frame, this one is still technically bullish here on the hourly chart. You can see nice continuation higher. Buyers are stepping in here currently or off that 218. Now we just like to see that push back up and towards that previous day highs and above. So the levels that we have marked out, previous day lows, we can drag this over. Key levels that we have marked out today, we can just mark out that low that we created here from Friday. If we do want to see any sort of continuation, number one, break back above our 221 for a flip back towards the upside. Another possible scenario, if we do come all the way back towards the downside, the bounce off our previous day lows, or it would be the bounce off our previous day close for a pushback towards the highs here as well. So for Nvidia, the key levels that we have marked out is just going to be that low that we created here on Friday. We can also mark out that previous day lows as well. This one on the hourly time frame does still look good. So we're going to be looking for that pushback towards the upside here on Nvidia. As for Apple, this one showed a little bit more weakness, kind of dropped right off the bat. We had some news in the pre-market as well. This one has been consolidating a little bit more after we had earnings a couple of weeks ago. Key technical levels that we can have marked out is just going to be that 315 if we want to see some upside. And then towards the downside, we have our 302. Other levels that we have marked out is our 310, above our 310, continuation up and towards our 315 and above. As for Google, the key technical levels that we have marked out is our 356. That is our key level here on the higher time frames. As you can see, we currently are retesting this level towards the downside, rejecting off that 356. Still valid for the downside. If we maintain underneath this level, we can see continuation towards the downside. If we get above that 356, we can see this hold for a push up in towards that 360 and above. As for Microsoft ended up having a nice move above our previous day highs for a continuation yesterday. Now moving forward here on Microsoft, if we're looking at this on the daily time frame, you can see we're fairly bullish or above our key technical levels here on the daily time frame. Higher lows are being built on the hourly time frame. We're still maintaining above key technical levels. Coming into today and this week, the key levels that I have marked out is our 500 that buyer stepped in yesterday above. Now, other levels that I do have marked out is going to be this 504. 504 is key here on Microsoft. If you can maintain above that 504, continuation back up and towards that 512. Break underneath that 504, we can see room down in towards that 500 here on the higher time frame. So that's what we have on Microsoft. Currently coming into market open, right? Higher lows are being built for continuation towards the upside. As for Meta, the key technical levels that we have marked out is that 600. What I would like to see is the break above hold for continuation. Yesterday, we end up having a nice reclaim back above that previous day highs, push up in towards that pre-market highs, but pretty sharp rejection, and now we're right back towards the downside. Moving forward here on Meta, the key technical levels that we have marked out is going to be that 600. We'd like to see the reclaim back above hold for any sort of continuation higher. If we do kind of reject off the 600, break underneath that previous day lows, we can see a flip back down and towards the lows here now on Meta. As for Amazon, I still like this one quite a bit. Let's keep an eye on Amazon for a daily flag pattern and a break back above our 276. The key levels that I have marked out is going to be this hourly flag that we're trying to break above. You can see yesterday broke above that previous day highs later into the session. Now coming into today, the exact same levels I'm still going to have marked out, that 279, the break above hold for continuation back towards the upside. If you can get above that previous day highs, you can see that continuation back towards the upside. So keep an eye out on Amazon above our previous day highs, along with this 275 for continuation towards the upside. And then for Netflix, this one ended up finally breaking above. Kind of similar pattern to to Meta. Higher lows were being built, finally broke above that 75. Continuation up in towards our earnings high is key here now on Netflix. If we just want to see continuation, you can see that daily candle close back above. We just want to see now the hold above this 75 for continuation back towards the upside here. And of course, for SpaceX, we end up having a nice pop into close on SpaceX. Once we're able to get back above that previous day highs later into the session, you can see a nice push up in towards that previous day close. The key technical levels that we have marked out here today is going to be that previous day highs, 139. Above our 139 hold, continuation towards the upside here is in play. So keep an eye on that break and retest above that previous day highs. There is room up in towards that 140 and potentially that 150 here on the higher time frames. So with that being said, those were some of the tech names that we have coming into market open here. There's a couple of things that I do like a Tesla break above that previous day highs, above that 334. We'll see if we have continuation. NVIDIA flipping here. We'll see if we can have that push back up and towards that 223. A lot of names at a very key technical level. Amazon, We have Netflix that's pushing up nicely, SpaceX here as well. Now we'll head on to a few other tickers. If you guys do have any charts or any names that you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Okay, with that being said, let's head on to a couple names, starting off with AVGO. This one here on the higher time frames, as you can see, daily chart, we're going to form higher lows here. You can see a little bit of reaction kind of right off this daily gap. For AVGO, I'd just like to see this daily higher low be built for continuation towards the upside. If you go into the hourly time frame, key technical levels that we have marked out is that 427. You can see we're having a tough time breaking above and holding above this 427. Try breaking above it yesterday. Nice hold above that level for continuation. Ultimately, once we got back underneath, you can see definitely a little bit more weakness on AVGO. Key levels we still have marked out 427, need to reclaim back above for any sort of continued pushback towards the upside. So that's what we have for AVGO coming into market open here. If you take a look at Oracle, this one bouncing off the lows, we are getting back above this previous level of support. Once we reclaim back above, you can see now this one's holding. We're kind of forming this higher time frame inverse head and shoulders. Now for Oracle moving forward, just maintain above that 139 for a push higher. We do have room all the way back up and towards 160 here on Oracle. So higher time frame key levels that we have marked out is just going to be our 136, and then other levels that we can have marked out here now is that 146 yesterday. Nice break and retest off that level for continuation towards the upside. Key technical levels that we have marked out here now is just going to be that previous day highs, 151 hold for continuation back towards the highs. Palantir, key levels that we have on Palantir is that previous day highs. So Palantir was one of our main watches coming into yesterday, just based off that daily chart for continuation. There was actually a couple nice trading opportunities on Palantir, very similar to Friday. Yesterday we had that previous day high retest, we had that 5-minute range high retest. Palantir ended up having a nice push all the way up and towards 180 or 179 here on the daily time frame. Now for Palantir, if we're looking at this one on the hourly chart, what would we like to see? Key levels that we have marked out is going to be that 172. So you can see higher lows are being built after earnings. Nice continuation on Friday, nice continuation yesterday. Now we're retracing back up in towards that Friday's highs. For Palantir, we just want to see that hold of that 172 for that continued pushback towards the upside. So if we're looking at Palantir here today, keep an eye on that previous high that on Friday plus our previous day lows. Maintain above that previous day lows. We can look for a mean reversion back towards the upside. I'm not that interested in shorting Palantir if we did get underneath that previous day highs. This for me is not really in play. I definitely could see a little bit more weakness if we got underneath that previous day lows, but higher time frames bullish. I would be cautious if it came down. Just watch out for that reclaim, for that pushback towards the upside here on Palantir. So that's what we have on this name. If we take a look at MU, SNDK, a lot of these ones are consolidating. If we're looking at this on the daily time frame, just a lot more consolidation in between that 920 along with that 720. Hourly time frame, right in between the middle of the range that we have. So 920, you can see the bounce off that 840. Right now, we're right around that 880. You can mark out kind of a new downtrend that we have on the higher time frames. For MU, I am expecting a potential bigger move today. If you can get above the previous day highs, right, the range is getting a little bit tighter here. Underneath that previous day lows, we can see room down in towards that 820. Above our previous day highs, room up in towards 920. So for MU, just keep an eye out on that previous day highs along with that previous day lows. SNDK, right around that earnings low, you can see yesterday came down, buyers stepped in, and now you can see we are defending that 1200 on the higher time frames. As for SNDK, if you do want to see that mean reversion, above our previous day highs for a pushback up in towards that 1320 and above. Underneath that previous day lows, continuation lower. INTC, of course, did have some news yesterday in the morning. This one actually didn't move too much lower after we had that news. We just kind of consolidated. We are underneath that 98 key psych level. So for INTC today, keep an eye on that pop and fade for continuation towards the downside. If you get back above that 98, we can see this flip back up in towards 100 and above. A lot of these semiconductors look fairly similar. If you look at SNDK, we look at MU, we look at names like AMD, a lot more consolidation the past week. We do have names like NVIDIA that are bouncing, but the rest of the names are consolidating a lot more, plus are a lot weaker. So I want to be more cautious on the semiconductors, even a WDC right here, consolidating, showing something very similar after earnings last week, or a little bit more consolidation right off the lows. Previous day lows plus that earnings low is going to be key on names like this. As for MBIS, this one does have earnings tomorrow morning. Higher lows I would like to see be built offer 180 on the daily time frame. But for MBIS, we'll just wait for after earnings. The implied volatility is going to be quite a bit, so I'm expecting a potential big move coming into earnings or after earnings. So that's what we have. MRVL, you can see this one was fairly bullish coming to market open. Pretty big rejections here off that 225, and we end up pushing back towards the downside. This was the exact level we wanted to see price break above. But we end up rejecting off this level. You can see we end up continuing right back towards the downside. So names like this, we understand the level that we have to break. Even like a TSM shaping up fairly nicely here. Higher lows are being built. If we can get back above this area, which is that 424 here on TSM, you can see how many touches we've had. Break above is necessary for a hold. We don't want to see the break, reject, and then push right back towards the downside. All right, let's go on to a couple more names. Someone's mentioning Pond W. This one just continue to push higher. Every dip is being bought up. Higher lows are being built as well. This one recently made a brand new all-time highs as well, right off that kind of previous retest level. Now we are breaking above and holding above that 360. So nice hold on Pond W for continuation towards the upside. Key technical levels that we have marked out is our previous day highs, and now we just want to see now continuation above our 382 for a push back towards the upside and above. Let's go on to a few other tickers here. CRBS, this one does have earnings later into the week, higher time frames, plus this is a recent IPO. For CRBS, the key technical levels that we have marked out is now just going to be our high that we created. We can just mark out this range that we have marked out. We can refine these levels. We have our 240 along with our 160. This is our bigger range that we have marked out. This also happens to be that earnings candle high, or sorry, that news candle high. If you want to see continuation above that 240 is needed. So for CRBS, earnings is coming up above that previous day highs, continuation up and towards that 240. Yes, I already did NVIDIA. Thanks, Jackie. You've helped me made some money on my portfolio since started following you a week ago. Appreciate your help. Glad to hear. Okay, with that being said, let's go on to some of the watches that we have coming into today. And then I'm going to get ready for market open here. The first 2 days, it doesn't seem like too much is happening in the markets. I'm expecting a bigger move, of course, with CPI tomorrow morning plus core PPI. So if the markets don't do too much today, expect the move to happen tomorrow morning with core CPI. Do you always trade options? Primarily options. I'll trade futures and stocks here as well. But at least for day trading, I'll primarily trade options. So for the overall markets for the QQQ here today, the key technical levels that we have marked out is at 723. Hold above that 723 for continuation up and towards that 726 is in play here for the markets. If you take a look at the SPY, what we like to see now is a hold of that 774 for continuation higher. Above that previous day highs, we can see that push back towards the upside here as well. So we still have a long bias here in the markets, just of course based off this daily chart. We're looking for a continuation towards the upside. If we do, let's say, for example, reject off our previous day highs, we do get underneath that 774, then we're going to be a little bit more neutral coming to today and most likely just wait for CPI. But if you can hold above key technical levels, in this case above our previous day lows and above the 774, then we're going to maintain a bullish bias here in the markets. For the Qs, same thing, above our previous day lows, above our key technical levels, we're going to maintain a more bullish stance here in the markets. What are my top watches for today? We'll keep an eye out on Tesla, the reaction here off this 333 along with this previous day highs. Other names that I do like here, Nvidia, the flip back above for continuation in towards our 323. Nvidia still looks very bullish. This is just a higher low here on the hourly time frame. As for a few other names that I do like, Microsoft, a potential mean reversion bounce here off that Friday's highs for a pushback towards the upside. I do like Amazon above our 278 for continuation. And then other names, Netflix looks good above our previous day highs. SpaceX also looks good above our previous day highs here as well. So these are the names that I'll keep an eye out on. Names like Palantir and Microsoft, after having a nice push yesterday, they look fairly similar. They're just back into that Friday's highs. Not expecting a complete like V-shaped recovery. It might take a little bit longer to set up today. So I do like SpaceX, Tesla a little bit more right off the bat. And of course, for names like MU, SNDK, they are going to have a move. The liquidity is being built to both sides, so I am expecting a move here on MU to both sides. Don't have a bias here on MU. We're just going to mark out that previous day highs along with that previous day lows. Right now, we're right in the middle of the range. We're just waiting for that break above or the break below for any sort of continuation towards the upside or the downside at this point for MU. And with that being said, those are the main watches for today. Tomorrow is the big day, of course, with core CPI. So make sure you're in the pre-market prep for that one. And then, of course, we have core PPI on Thursday. Yeah, with that being said, same game plan as yesterday. We're just going to keep an eye on that previous day highs for continuation. We'll see the reaction that we have within the first kind of 10 to 15 minutes as well. Yeah, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. And with that being said, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.